Walk us through at a macro level again. So you were flipping houses. Walk us the kind of the transition of businesses, and we'll dissect them a little bit and then wrap up.
Yeah, at a very high level on the flips, I was making about 20% margin on it net on all my properties. And it was a high turnover margin for me. It was high turnover. I can typically buy these things at auctions and have them sold within the 3-month period. Las Vegas changed its laws around where you couldn't even really sell or list it technically until the 91st day for some reason after the financial crash happened. So that kind of delayed it. And then there was some other stupid law that they put in that like every house went from being able to be sold within 3 months on a very systemized way to at least 5 or 6 months every home now. And that just kind of completely killed my margin. So the Los Angeles move was good for that reason. When I moved to Los Angeles, I flipped one home here, and I quickly realized that I was such a small fish in a huge pond. And for every deal that I was going after, even though we were trying to go all cash, and I was like, in Vegas, when you're all cash, man, you're on top of the litter, right? Here in Los Angeles, everybody was all cash. And these were guys that were massively wealthier than me, right? And so they kept asking for proof of funds, and I kept having to ask my friends who were richer than me, can you give me a proof of funds, please? And it was so competitive. And so when I was flipping that one home, though, I picked an area that was path of progression, and I knew that. And my partner and I at the time started identifying, man, there's like a lot of empty land here, which is quite rare for Los Angeles. This is in the Eagle Rock, Highland Park, Mount Washington area, which is just north of downtown. And downtown just blew up. And in LA, whatever, I won't get into it, but it was in the path of progression.
Sure.
And there's all these empty lands there for about 20, 25K lots. And so I was like, hey, we got to figure this game out. And we did. And so what I did is I went and bought as much land as I could, knowing that everywhere around this area, you could not get anything like this or even something close to this. It was just so mind-boggling to me that this was still left in Los Angeles. And my thesis was correct. And in the 5 or 6 years that I was developing, I was just developing on this land. And that land now is easily worth $150K per lot that we bought. It's really exploded. Went from there, and I really decided that for my short-term goals and my long-term goals, I wanted to stop developing homes, because it's like feast or famine. The money was coming in, then you go and do other projects. And so I didn't really enjoy this up and down. Plus, just understanding how my brain works, it was torturous to wait 2 months for a decision from the LA County. It was torturous having to deal with these neighborhood councils. And so I don't like when a decision is held up for 2 weeks by the city and you're waiting for this. It drove me nuts. So I wanted to get something faster results because of my AD brain. Went into multifamily, wanted to build a passive income because I knew I wanted to be a father soon. When I did that, I bought some apartment complexes in Wichita, which was really fun because I went to go buy one house. So this is how my whole multifamily thing progressed. I went to go buy one house because I wanted to be in low-income housing, and I want to create these programs in low-income housing. That could be for another time. And so I went, and in Wichita, I had boots on the ground. I have a good family of friends that live there. And the realtor goes, I have this 74 kind of unit complex. They're all like fourplexes, triplexes in low-income areas. Do you want to look at it? I said, yeah, absolutely. Send it my way. And I'm evaluating all these numbers. And mind you, I was only looking for one home. I was evaluating all these numbers, and I just said, holy shit, like, I have to buy this. This is insane. And so I even contacted my friend. I was like, hey, these numbers can't be right. Can you please overlook my shoulder? And sent it to him. And he goes, buddy, like, if these are the actual numbers and they're not like lying to you, you have to buy this 74 unit complex. I said, all right. So I did.
That's how it goes.
Why? That's how it goes. So I was like, all right, cool. I went from wanting one and creating a rental portfolio of burrs in Wichita to I have the 74 unit. While I'm in escrow, I asked the property managers that we're hiring, hey, do you have anything else that, I could potentially land? And he said, we have this deal 2 years ago, buyers walked out on, but I think they still want to sell. Let me reach out to him. I said, sure, please. I don't even know the size. And he's like,
you haven't even gotten multifamily yet. Like, you just are under contract in your first multifamily.
I'm under contract. I'm in the escrow process and the due diligence process of the 74 unit. And I get this 180 unit to me, this apartment complex. And so I underwrote it and I said, I think this makes sense, but there's got to be things I'm missing. I've never done a transaction. I've done a bunch of underwriting before. I took all the courses. I went back to the same buddy who I trust dearly, and he goes, you have to buy this. We bought it, our close officially at 6.4. He's like, you got to go up to 7 million up to this deal. So we bought the deal. And at this point, I was just doing bridge loans and trying to sell off my development projects. And so I went from a 74 unit to 180 unit. And so I basically went from want to buy one to 250 units, but very quickly after, another 10 unit there. And then it was just lights off. I just said, oh, these are the numbers that I can make here. This is the passive income that I want to create. So then I just started selling off my portfolio of all my development deals and transitioning it all into multifamily. Then I had a friend of mine convince me to buy a mobile home park because, again, there were stigmas, but I said, hey, you're really smart. If you're putting your own money into this, let me go research it. I've heard this enough times. Let me go research. I started doing the numbers. I started understanding what mobile home parks were. I said, okay, let's buy this. I looked at this mobile home park through the lens of an apartment owner, and I said, this deal doesn't work through an apartment owner. And he goes, just trust me. And we bought it, quote unquote, what I thought was top of market. That property alone did better than my other properties I got for a steal. We actually just closed on that deal. We bought it less than a year ago. We just closed on it and made about a 60% IRR on it, just less than 1 year.
And now you started a fund for that.
Yeah, and so then I just started to realize the more research I did, the more I realized I have a thesis that if things are no-brainers, that's what I go for. Properties that are no-brainers and a sector that are no-brainers, in my opinion, was mobile home parks. And so now I realize there's a lot of people like myself who are getting into the mobile home park space. And this is really a kind of an untapped market that I am now just devoting all my energy and time to. And we're having wins like this left and right because we are in secondary and tertiary markets. We're not messing with institutional money. We are not the Brandon Churners, but we are getting these little properties that are like 50 to 150 units in secondary and tertiary markets that have so much inefficiencies already going into them that we're able to just build a ton of equity in. Yeah.
Fun. Whew, and this is all over the last couple of years, right?
It's all over the last couple of years. But this is the thing. When you identify a market you want to be in, and when you identify, let's bring it back to a poker term, a game that you want to be in, you've got to attack it with vigor, right? And so I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and wish 10 years from now, man, I wish I got more of my hands on these properties because these properties are getting gobbled up. And so me and my team, we're scaling. And also to note, even though we're scaling, we're incredibly conservative, even compared to most operators out there for the mobile home park space, just the way we identify the properties, the way we go in, the way we add in our margins to always beat our pro formas. But still, these properties will be gone in 5 years, in my opinion. Institutional money, like people who are good operators like myself are coming into this space left and right. I wanted to attack it.
Man,